So, I wanted to share a little something with you about trees. So, I went to do a tree removal, and it was for a pine tree that had split in three. It had three shoots on it, and each one of those shoots was like 20 feet tall. Now, it was completely dead. There wasn't a leaf on it. Uh, it wasn't hollow, but it was completely dead. Anyway, there was a good area for me to cut it and drop it and not hit anything at all. It was close to a house. It was close to a row of bushes and a satellite dish. Um, and there's another tree beside it, but it had two big areas that you could drop the tree at. Okay, so this is the saw I used. I used the Stihl MS 170. I switched back to the steel bar with a micro chain. Uh, in my personal opinion, I used the Forester bar and chain on it, and it's a good one because you can put like an Oregon chain or other chains on it. But in my opinion, the micro, it cuts through. It's like butter. Okay, it's a lot. I feel like it cuts a little better. But anyway, that's what we used. I didn't use the big saw. Again, this was a smaller size tree, and I still have yet to been able to find a chain to fit this bar without ordering the combo, and I don't really want to do that. But anyway, so I went to cut this tree down. Okay, and they were leaning hard to an open area. Uh, One was leaning one way, and the other two were another. But they were both leaning to an open area. Um, the first one I went to cut to the left of it was the house, the row of trees, and a satellite dish. Now I made my Humboldt notch, and I did my back cut, and I put two wedges in the back just to make sure that it wasn't going to, you know, fall towards the house or anything like that. And I started cutting, and when I cut it, the customer was out there the whole time, standing there with me, wanted to help and all that. And it's whatever. Uh, but when I made my cut, and I seen the tree, it was falling. It was going where it was supposed to go. And then there was a little bit of a breeze, the tiniest, like it wasn't a very big gust of wind. It was just enough of a breeze, and there wasn't any breeze before, but it was just enough in that moment. Uh, it started to come back up a little bit as it was falling, and I went to put my hand on it. I put my hand on it, on the trunk, over top of the wedges, and a good distance up. I put my hand probably above where my head is, and I went to give it a push, just a little, to keep it from. And that thing went right over top of my hand. Just went and off to the left, completely opposite direction of where it was originally falling. It was going like this, and then all of a sudden it just went straight back and over to the left, and it landed on this guy's row of bushes. Barely missed the satellite dish. It didn't damage anything. It was very light, but thankfully it wasn't that big of a tree. It was lightweight. If it had been much bigger, it would have damaged stuff. But like how that happened, I'm unsure. Other than just the wind, I don't know. But things can go wrong when you least expect it. You can do everything right in tree work, and something still go wrong. Now the other two trees I cut, and they hit the open areas, or I had one. It got hung up. It got hung when it fell. It was going where it was supposed to, but a limb from the other shoot, it snagged it, and it caused it to be suspended a little bit. It didn't fully just hit the ground. So I had to snip a limb or two, and then it dropped. It was no big deal. Again, these were lightweight trees, but if they had been a lot bigger, I don't believe it would have went that way. But always be mindful. Now it fell on the low side of the jet, like when I cut that one I was telling you about, and it was falling like this, and then the wind blew and it picked back up and then came over to the left. That left side was the low side of the tree. You never want to be on the low side of the tree, and I was standing behind it, not right on that side, but you always want to be on the higher side of the tree. You don't want to be on the lower side. And you always want to make sure you have an escape route, because if that had been a bigger tree, it could have probably hurt me, but it didn't. Thankfully, and thankfully it didn't damage that satellite dish. And now that ate at me all day long. It was annoying that I did all those things right, and it was going the right way, and it fell. It was already leaning like this, and it was going like this, and then all of a sudden it just picked up and then came back over, and that drove me nuts. That ate at me. I had to apologize to the customer. Of course, he was okay with it. He said, as long as, hey, it didn't damage anything, it's down, it's out of the way, he was okay with it. But to me, as the guy that's supposed to be the professional, that ate at me. Now the other two, like I said, no problem. But when you cut trees, you always need to be mindful of that. Stay on the high side, okay? Stay on the high side. Don't be on the low side of the tree, especially if it's on a incline and you're cutting it. That final cut, you do not want to be on the low side. You want to be on the high side or directly behind it, out of the way. Give yourself a good escape route path. But if the tree is dead, totally dead, be mindful of that. Even if it's a little tree, charge appropriately, because something could go wrong. If you've got access to a bucket truck or this and that, a lift of some sort, spider lift or something, use that probably instead. I wouldn't climb a dead tree, in my personal opinion. I'm not really a climber, but I wouldn't just actively go climb a dead tree. I don't think that would be very safe. But sometimes just felling them, even in a big open area, they won't go the way you want. You've got to be mindful of the wind. You've got to be mindful of that. Because, I cut these logs in 8-foot sections, and this tree had been dead, I guess, for a good while. And even though, it wasn't hollow, but I could, I'm not that big of a dude here, but I could pick those 8-foot sections of that log up over on my shoulders. And it was a good, maybe like 8 inches, or 8 or 9 inches in diameter, maybe, of a log. And I could put it on my shoulder and carry it to the vehicle, to the truck, to load it up. So if that gives you an idea, so it's amazing to me that happened. But you be mindful of that, especially any of you guys that's like, oh, it's just a dead tree, I'll go out here real fast and cut it. Be aware, because I was not expecting that at all, and that could have went bad, and I don't want that to happen to you guys. So be prepared. Know what you're doing. If you don't feel comfortable, get somebody else to do it, or do it another way, like with a lift. Okay, but that's all I got for today, guys. I just want to share that little story with you. And thanks for watching. If you like what you're seeing, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, peace.